Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, but we're going to head a little bit north and we're returning to a brewery who I really rate quite highly when it comes to sour beers actually. I've had some very good experiences from these guys in the past in the sour beer category, and we've got their latest release to have a little look at today. So for this one then we are going to go to Örebro, out to the west of Stockholm, which is of course home to Örebro Bryghus, and this beer is called the Ramble, and they're describing this one as a blackberry, raspberry and blueberry sour beer. Comes in at 5.5% ABV, and going by the other beers that I've had from these guys, it should hopefully be pretty nice actually. The last beer that I reviewed from Örebro Bryghus, which was the first one from them in a while, that was the Fruit Kvike, which was a collaboration with Lamplighter Brewery from over in Cambridge in Massachusetts in America, and that was a very kind of quirky beer. I felt that that would have been better as maybe like a summer release actually, but the first beer that I had from these guys was a Berliner Weisse. I think it might have been a raspberry Berliner Weisse, so that was a really nice one. And you know, there's a lot of breweries in Sweden having a go at the sour beers now. Duyes and Bruski, of course, are the more established guys, but then you've got Temple as well, who've been doing it for a while. But now, yeah, you have Örebro, you've got Jämerdalen away up in the north, and there's a few other breweries. You know, Stockholm Brewing Company are doing sour beers as well, so there's a good selection of sour beers available in Sweden now. But Örebro are one that I would really recommend you check out if these are the kind of beers that you're interested in, and it's nice to return to these guys and do a dedicated review. So let's see how we get on with this one. I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Örebro Bryghus before. This must be review number 5 or so involving this brewery, and I'm sure there will be more in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyways, tell you a little bit about Örebro Bryghus then. So Örebro Bryghus, as I've told you before, are based in the Apsholmen industrial estate in Örebro, out to the west of Stockholm, and the company is run by Anders Gradberg, Jesper Palm and Christopher Mathiasen, and in total there's actually 8 co-owners of the company, but the brewing is done by Jesper and Christopher, who are both qualified brewers and previously used to work for Nerke Kulturbrygger, who are also based in Örebro. They tend to focus on sort of old school English beers and German styles as well actually, and they are definitely worth checking out. Anders, on the other hand, worked for 14 years at Systembolaget, and if you know the Swedish system, you know, Systembolaget gives some very good training to their employees and things like that. You know, they get very good training in terms of like champagne tasting and beer tasting and all of these kind of things. It's quite crazy actually. It's a very interesting organisation, Systembolaget. But in 2012 they got the idea to start their own company, and they first introduced their beers into Systembolaget a few years later in 2016. In the brewery they have a brew kit from the UK which can brew 2,000 litres at a time, and as of 2017 they had an annual capacity of around 200,000 litres of beer. But in August of 2018 they opened up their tap room, which is called the Örebro Ölcafé. Hopefully I can get up and have a look at that sometime and film a little out and about video. I need to film more of those in Sweden actually. Most of those have been filmed out in Asia or back home in Scotland, 1 or 2 in Denmark actually, so I do need to film a few more of these. I do need to make sure I film a few more of these here in Sweden actually. But over the last few years they've been continuing to grow their capacity, brewing a lot of collaboration beers to get their name out there a little bit more, and they've also visited various beer festivals, mainly around Europe. But as of February 2020 they've produced around 40 different types of beers. So yeah, this one was released on the 3rd of March 2020. And the one that they released last month, that was the Fruit Kvike, which the review will just have published for actually. So make sure you check out that review as well, because that was a really quite nice beer. But like I said, these guys are really probably, most of the beers I've had from them have been in the sour beer category. I'm not sure if you could really count the Kvike as being a sour beer because it's more of a farmhouse type thing. But yeah, I would say that the best beers I've had from Örebro have been the Berliner Weisses and the fruit beers and things like that. So they're very good in that category. But that said, I'm sure that I reviewed a double IPA from them, or some kind of IPA at some point, and that went down really quite nicely as well. It's more of an old school West Coast IPA, if I remember correctly. So try some of their normal beers as well, I guess you could say. But yeah, a nice brewery this one, and it's nice to be able to get hold of their beer for you again and review it for you on the channel. But yeah, that's all you need to know about Örebro Bryghus for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And of course, you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and have a taste of this particular beer then. I'll let you have a little look at the artwork before we open it up. I do like this kind of graphic style that they've got, to be honest. It seems, I noticed that on the Fruit Kvike, they've got a really nice graphic style that seems to have come out since they've got the cans. I think the last beer that I reviewed before the Fruit Kvike was actually in a bottle, but there you can see, there is the Örebro Bryghus symbol, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the artwork on this one is really nice. So Blackberries, Raspberries and Blueberries in this one, and if you've watched the channel before, you will know that I'm a big fan of berry sours actually. I really like my berries. So yeah, curious to see how this one turns out. That was actually the main reason that I got this one. It was like Ramble on. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And I looked at it. So blackberry, raspberry and blueberry sour. I'll be having that. So yeah, 5.5% ABV this one. Let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting. Really curious about this actually. So yeah, that looks lovely. Yeah, so this one's just a regular kind of sour ale. It's not like a Berliner Weiss or anything like that. It doesn't say, yeah, there's no wheat and things on this one. Just a straight up ale, basically. So yeah, so look at that. You can see the head on that. That's going to fade away very, very quickly. But you can see the head is this lovely kind of bright purpley pink sort of colour. This one, it looks like blackcurrant juice or something like that, but you can see the head was a solid finger. That is just going to fade away to be a very kind of thin foamy layer. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head there, and the colour itself, you know, it is, like I say, it's a sort of maroon, burgundy-ish type colour, kind of like just blackcurrant, blackberry sort of juice colour, to be honest with you. It looks very, very nice, a sort of cherry red, heritage cherry, like a Gibson SG. Something like that actually. That's kind of the colour you're getting out of this one. But I mean, overall, the appearance of this beer, for a sour ale, a berry sour at that, is not very surprising. I mean, your blackberries are going to give you a slightly darker colour than the blueberries, then those will give you a darker colour than the raspberries. So yeah, a kind of maroony, purpley type colour is not overly surprising with this one. But yeah, it looks very, very nice, I have to say. So yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma of this beer and see how we get on. Nothing overly surprising about the appearance, as I said, but a nice 5.5% low ABV sour beer, this one. Oh, straight away, yeah. My nose wet. There we go. Yeah, so straight away with this one, it is all about the juiciness of the fruits and the sharpness of the fruits. You can smell this beer, in terms of the malt base, there's not really a lot there. You can smell a little bit of a pale malty quality, maybe a little bit of a biscuity sweetness, but otherwise it comes across as quite a light kind of crisp beer. There's probably a little bit of Pilsner malt or something in here just to, you know, crispen it up. But yeah, it is all about the big juicy fruits. So you've got some lovely, for me the raspberries are a little bit, they take a bit of a back seat compared to the other two. I think it's the juiciness of the blackberries is kind of, that's forming the linchpin of the beer, and you get some of the kind of brighter blueberries in there as well. I think the darker berries are sort of stealing the show on this one, but you do, I think the tartness at the front of the nose, you will notice the tartness, and I think that is really coming from the raspberries. I've always found that blackberries and blueberries are a little bit less tart than raspberries, but the more and more that you smell of this beer, the more it becomes juicy, if that makes sense, and you really do start to get more of the the raspberry coming out there. The raspberry, I think, it just takes your nose a bit of time to adjust to it, to pick it up. But yeah, there is an element of grassiness to this beer as well. There is a wee hint of that earthy kind of, that, is it right to say earthy, or is it kind of herbally as well? You do get a little bit of that earthy, herbally kind of thing from that you always get with brambles, and you know, and that's obviously what the name of this. It's a bit of a play on words, because you know it's brambles that you get. That you get all these berries from. My grandpa always used to have brambles in his garden, and I always used to get in trouble for picking the berries off them and eating them. I don't know why, but yeah, I always loved the blackberries and the black currants and things like this. Yeah, the raspberries really come out a little bit later on, but I think that the backbone of the beer really is the blackberries, sorry, and the blueberries. And the raspberries, the juiciness of the raspberries comes out a little bit later, but the raspberries are the ones that are really giving you the tartness. But the more and more you smell of this beer, the more it sort of softens up in the nose and becomes more and more juicy. There is an element of grassiness to this beer as well. It's got a smooth kind of earthy quality. It's got some kind of, you know, that sort of earthy, herbally, leafy type thing that you get from brambles. If you smell the inside, if you go to the supermarket and buy a little box of raspberries and smell it, you do get that earthy, herbally kind of thing. You can really pick that out of this beer as well, actually. It really, you know, it smells pretty much straight up like fresh picked raspberries, but I think it said they do use puree in this. Yeah, so blackberry puree, raspberry puree and blueberry puree, and you know, that is just a straight up chemistry thing. There is a rule in chemistry, something I remember from my master degree. You know, there is a straight up rule in chemistry that it's all about surface area, getting chemical reactions to happen. The higher your surface area, the better, and the more quickly your reaction is going to happen. So it's understandable that they use the puree, of course. But yeah, you can really pick out the that lovely brambly note to the beer, which is what they're going for. But yeah, a little bit of grassiness in there. There is maybe a teeny little bit of earthy hop to it as well. But otherwise, the malt base is very straight up. Like I said, a little bit of pale malt, a little bit of biscuit maybe, and I wonder if there's a wee bit of Pilsner malt in there as well, just to kind of crispen it up. But a really nice, juicy smelling beer. The tartness is coming from the raspberries, and the juiciness is coming from the black currants, the blackberries, sorry, and the blueberries. I always do that in these sour beer reviews. It's quite annoying. But yeah, let's have a look at this one then and see how we get on. This one is the Ramble On, a 5.5% sour beer from Örebro Bryghus, brewed with blackberries, blueberries and raspberries. I got it right. Let's have a taste of this one. Sláinte, skål. Yeah, I like that. I really do. This one's nice. It really does taste just like straight up fruit. It really it's very nice how that goes together. It has got a bit of an impact on it. It is a little bit puckering in the beginning. It's not going to blow the head off you if you're used to sour beers. It isn't going to blow the head off you, but the way that this goes together is actually very, very nice. Yeah, I like how that. I really like how this goes together. The thing I would be debating about this beer would be: is this a good summer beer to release? You know, it's you know, this is a very light kind of crisp. Well, crisp maybe isn't the right word. Actually, it's a lot more oily in its mouthfeel than I thought it might be from the aroma. But it's a lovely, very drinkable sour beer, this one. And as I said, the review that I filmed before this one was the strawberry cake from Brewski. And you know, a lot of these sour, I always find sour beers very kind of summery. This one I'm not too sure about, and I said the same about the Brewski strawberry cake. And the reason is, this one, it's really oily. I'm finding this beer is quite this is quite an oily sour beer, and it's nice. I mean, maybe when you release your sour beers in the summer, you maybe want more tropical fruits like mango and pineapple and all this kind of thing, but maybe the berry sours are a little bit better suited to the cold months. So that's a little bit of food for thought. But what I will say is, this is another very, very solid sour beer from from Örebro Bryghus, and you know, long may that continue. These guys are good, and they know what they're doing when it comes to this category. I said in the Brewski review as well, I would have loved to have seen Brewski do a cloudberry sour, so that would be an interesting project for these guys as well, because they're also very capable of pulling something off like that. So I'd love to see them do a blueberry, not a blueberry, a cloudberry sour actually. So Örebro Brygghus, if you're watching, have a go at it. That would be awesome. But yeah, the more I drink of this one, the more kind of oily it gets, but I like this, I really do. Let's try and break the flavour down a little bit then, and describe it. So I mean, in the middle of your palate, there's a wee bit of a sort of pale malty type thing towards the back of the tongue. There is, I suspect there might be a little bit of Pilsner malt or something like this, but there's really not a lot of malty presence to this beer. You might get a teeny little bit of a biscuity sweetness in the very centre of your palate, but really this beer almost feels as if it doesn't have it almost feels as if it doesn't have malt in it. But to have the alcohol, you know, I think you have to have a little bit of malt. I don't know if the sugars from the fruit would be enough to kind of carry the beer on its own. I mean, and you know, it would be brewing things in a very, you'd be brewing things in a very different way if you didn't have a sort of mashing process and things. So I think it might just be a little bit of pale malt and a little bit of Pilsner malt that's forming the backbone of this. I'd be curious to know about that. But that said, the further you go into the aftertaste, you do get a little bit of a slightly biscuity note in the centre of the palate there. But the malt base kind of suits what this beer is going for, because it is more about the oiliness and the juiciness of the fruits, I would say. But yeah, I really like this one. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, actually. So yeah, malt base, like I say, is very straight up. On the sort of hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the palate there is a little bit of earthiness, and as you move further forward along the sides of the tongue, the earthiness I would say is quite dark, but then as you move further forward, you've got a little bit of a florally note there. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a wee bit lighter and more grassy, and then you've got the nice kind of fruity qualities coming out of this one too. As I always say, when you add fruit into the beer, it always comes out on the edge of the tongue, whereas if you extract it from the hop, it's in that little oily bubble behind the front curve of the palate. And I wonder, in terms of hops, the ideal hop to use with a beer like this would be Northern Brewer from Germany. Bramley's Cross from England could be another option, right enough. So I do wonder, there is something a little bit German about the hops that they've used in this. So could there be a little bit of Bramley's Cross? Because if you look behind the front curve of the palate, you do get that oily bubble where the juicy, fruity esters push their way out of the beer. And for me, it is a sort of, it's a kind of like figgy, it is a little bit of a kind of figgy, datey type thing, and that's the sort of thing that you'll get from Northern Brewer. It's a very popular hop to use in Doppelbocks, and I think sometimes they use it in the German Dunkels as well, actually. So there is a little bit of that vibe here. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a wee bit of Northern Brewer in this beer, but the other fruits really are sitting around that front edge of the tongue. And like I said, when you add fruit into the beer, that suppresses a little bit of the kind of green side of the hops, the IBUs of the beer, and you really, it's nice how this whole thing goes together. So yeah, when you take this beer in, you get that nice kind of sharpness there, and it sort of smoothens out, and that's when you start to get the more kind of oily, juicy, fruity flavours out of this one. I really do find that this beer, I think it really does lean towards the blackberries and the blueberries a little bit more than the raspberries. And the raspberries are there, you can pick them up a little bit, but I really, to me, just the blackberry and blueberry flavours are a little bit more dominant than the raspberry ones. But it's really nice how this one goes together. This is a nice big oily, but at the same time it has a little bit of crispness to it. So it's a bit of a big oily kind of crisp sour beer, this one. I think they've done a very, very nice job of this, but you can really feel just that juiciness that this beer has just sitting around the very edge of your tongue. Everything fits together in this one, pardon me, very, very nicely. So, you know, big thumbs up to Örebro Brygghus for this beer. I think they've done an awesome job of this. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. It's a very straight up sour beer, but it does exactly what you want from this particular style. So yeah. So In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say actually, you know, almost on the tip of the tongue, the further you go into the aftertaste, you will get a little bit of the tartness of the raspberries pushing its way out actually. So pay attention to that. The raspberries are there a little bit on the tip of the tongue and maybe down on the back corners as well, but the rest of it is a more juicy kind of blueberry sort of thing. But in terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say this beer is, you know, mid-bodied generally, but for the sour beer category, I find this one quite full-bodied. The carbonation is very smooth. It's a big oily mouthfeel, this one. In terms of bitterness, I'd be surprised if you're getting more than 10, 15, probably 10, even 10 might even be a bit generous. You're only getting about 10 IBUs out of this beer. The malt base is very light, a little bit of crispness to it. I think there might be a wee touch of Pilsner malt in this one at the back of the palate, but mainly malt base is light, smooth, not really much to report on that, to be honest with you. A little bit of hoppy character, I suspect, maybe a wee bit of Northern Brewer. You've got some oily fruits behind the front curve of the palate, but then the juiciness of the black currants and the blackberries, not the black currants, I keep doing that, the blackberries, the blueberries and the raspberries, that really comes out around the edge of the tongue, and I think the blueberry and the blackberries are a little bit more dominant in the flavour than the raspberries. But yeah, a really nice tasting beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review this for you. As I say, Örebro Bryghus, a very capable brewery within this sour beer category, and this one is a nice kind of straight up berry sour ale actually. And the brewery I haven't mentioned to you as well is Blackberries. Forgot to mention them earlier when I was talking about sour beers. I don't think they've done a cloudberry sour, come to think of it either. So I would put a challenge out there to the Swedish sour beer breweries: do a cloudberry sour and see how that goes. That would be a really interesting one. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this. This one is the Ramble On, a blackberry, raspberry and blueberry sour beer from Örebro Bryghus in Örebro, out to the west of Stockholm here in Sweden. A lovely beer, this one, and I will definitely be returning to this brewery again for their next release. So see what they've got coming out next. But yeah, thank you again for watching my reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Örebro Bryghus as well, but this is definitely one that you need to check out if you are interested in sour beers. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Check out my social media and I'll catch you guys later. The Ramble On, 5.5% raspberry, blueberry and blackberry sour from Örebro Bryghus in Örebro here in Sweden. Until the next time, Slange, and I will catch you guys later. Slange, skål, cheers.